next day, you have to listen to the wireless. Basically 3 different outlets, right? So the market, the people that were being reached in that moment, very, very small. Social media is instantaneous. Yeah? If someone says, have you seen X, Y, and Z, and you haven't seen it, sure as hell you can go to Twitter and find the video, the Vine, the Instagram post straight away. Okay, we're in a culture at the moment where it is instant gratification. And you're all guilty of this, and I'm guilty of this as well, and I'm sure you are. If you send an email, if you haven't received a response to that email or to that text in 10 minutes, you start to get anxious, you start to get nervous, you sweat, you start to eat ice cream because you're panicking, right? Because we're in that age of instant gratification where things are now, they were 2 minutes ago, I want them instantaneously, okay? So pressures are great because of money, because of fandom. Fandom's obviously increased because of social media and the access and the ability to watch games. What is scheduled to happen in 2022 in American sports? And apparently, according to the BBC yesterday, it is on track for 2022.
With the NFL team
in England? NFL team in London. Okay. Why do they want to put an NFL team in London?
Will now be worldwide versus just in America.
Yeah, worldwide's a little bit of a stretch. Okay, so they'll be on another continent.
More fans all over the world.
Okay, looking to try and create more fans over the world. More money. Why are they choosing London?
Big city.
Big city.
Tourists
Touristy.
play games there before, so they kind of have an expectation.
Okay, so they've played games at Wembley. They're now having games at Wembley in Twickenham, which is Twickenham as the home of English rugby. They're putting it there because people know what it is. Right? People in England now know what American football is. We were always aware of it. We knew that it was happening. We knew that you'd taken really good sports ideas and bastardized them and had people smashing into each other in big hats and stuff. So we were always aware of that. Right? It was a good idea, but you've taken it a little bit too far. But now we're not just aware of it, we have fans. People support teams. Right? Maybe they came over to the US on holiday and they visited somewhere and they went to New York and they're now a Giants fan or a Jets fan. Okay? If you go back to England, are they like parading themselves as Jets fans or Giants fans 20 years ago? No, because they've got no way to be a fan. Right? They've got no way to view it, they've got no way to stay in touch with it, they've got no way to really know if they're any good or not. Are they winning or they're losing? Now, if you want to, the time difference is a bit of a pain, but you can stay up and watch a game, no problem. You can watch that, absolutely no problem. You can get apps on your phone where you can steal that information for free. Okay? So people are watching, the audience is getting bigger, and pressure is becoming huge. So what? How much of sport performance is mental compared to physical? Percentages. The percentage of sport that is mental compared to physical.
9.
Hang on a second. See if this works. Success. So we've got, so this is mental over here. That's not in focus. Slowest focus. Hey, mental. Physical. So was it 90% mental? 90% mental, therefore 10% physical. Any takers and any more? Joe? 80-20? Any advances on 90-10 or 80-20? Everyone happy that it falls somewhere in there? Okay, so if we say that it's actually 85-15, does that sound fair? Aggregate of them. Okay, so 85% of mental, of sport performance is mental, and only 15% of it is physical. What stands out to you about those numbers? Yes.
Most of the time we think professional athletes, it's because they're better performers, not necessarily better performers.
Okay, so we usually attribute success to physical attributes, correct? The thing that stands out to me is that these are hugely disproportionate. Right? 85% is a way bigger number than 15%, correct? How much time do we spend training the physical elements of sport performance compared to the mental elements of performance? Would it be fair to suggest that? Pretty fair assumption? Yeah, so we spend the majority of our time working on the physical and a very, very, very small, disproportionate size of our time working on the mental element. But we know, or we think, that the amount of performance that is mental is actually bigger, considerably bigger, than it is physical. Now, what I'm not advocating for here is that we stop training physically, right? Because it's important to make sure that you are strong enough, fit enough, fast enough, technical enough, tactically aware enough to be able to perform in your sport. 100%. You cannot do anything in sport if you do not have those attributes. So the physical side of things is very, very, very important, okay? But the mental side of things is a little bit underrepresented, right? We know it's important, we know it's valuable to sport performance, but we don't spend a lot of time training it, okay? And the reason we don't spend a lot of time training it is we think it's complicated. We think that it's something that needs to be taken away from the actual practice environment, something we need to do in an office or a lab or a lying down on a couch type training, but it's not. Mental skills training and practice, normal practice, technical and tactical, are not mutually exclusive. A good coach has the ability to tie those two things in together and work on them essentially without the athlete knowing. Okay? The other thing is lack of understanding, knowing what mental skills training is. Okay? Mental skills training is when you go and see a sports psychology professional is not because you have a problem. Do we see athletes that have problems, have an issue with performance? Yes. But 90%, 95% of the people that we work with just want to get a little bit better. Just like if you go into the weight room, you just want to get a little bit stronger. You want to get a little bit faster, a little bit more powerful, a little bit better conditioned. Just if you go and do extra reps on the technical side of things, go and shoot free throws. Just want to get a little bit better at shooting free throws. Okay? So mental skills training is just trying to add another piece to that performance pie because everyone's doing the same thing technically. Everyone's being coached the same basically. Everyone's doing roughly the same thing tactically. Everyone's lifting the same. Everyone's running the same. Everyone's pretty much eating the same. Everyone, hopefully legally, is supplementing the same. Everyone is using near as damn it the same equipment, right? So what's there to separate out good from very good? Well, some mental skills. Okay. So moving forward, where are we here? PC. So Steve Redgrave, what does that name suggest? What does that bit suggest? He's knighted. What does being knighted mean? You can't speak. You're probably knighted. Yes.
Does that mean he was honored by the royalty of England?
He was knighted by the Queen, so yes. So it's the highest honor that any member of the British Empire can attain. Okay. Anyone know why he was knighted?
Lifetime.
Yes and no. He was knighted for his services to sport. Okay, and latex, spandex, whatever you want to call it. Okay, five-time Olympic gold medalist. No big deal, right? How many did Michael Phelps win in Beijing? He won 8 in one go. Okay, so what's impressive about Steve Redgrave's 5 Olympic gold medals? Well, first and foremost, he's a rower. So he sits in a boat, paddles very quickly, I might add. 5 different Olympics. 20 years. Top of his game for 20 years. That's impressive, right? Eight in an Olympics basically means you're just the fastest swimmer in the world at that time, right? In pretty much everything that you do. Don't get me wrong, 8 gold medals in Beijing is unbelievable, okay? But I think that 5 gold medals over the course of 20 years is something pretty spectacular, okay? Especially when you think of something that is so physically demanding, like a sport like rowing, okay? To be able to keep and sustain that level of training all the way through is a phenomenal achievement. Anyway, so this guy knows something about performing at the high level, right? Olympic rowing is the highest level of rowing. There are other regattas, but basically the Olympics is not a pun, but it's the gold standard. Okay. The importance of psychology is far greater than many people believe. If you look in percentage terms of the difference in abilities, it's very small. Athletes train their bodies to incredible levels. Everything is put into physical training, yet very little is done mentally. Most of the time, the limiting factor is the mind, not the body. Okay. basically what we've just talked about. Mind, very important compared to the body when we break down sport performance. But we spend the majority of our time training the body, obviously because it's important. What separates good from bad performance, or successful performance from just not quite there performance, it is the limiting factor of the mind, not the body. Okay, so it's really important that we take that into consideration when we're training. Love them or hate them. A lot of people choose to hate him. I kind of hate him. But very good at what he did, we think. We don't know because he was always looked up. But I like this quote from him. Okay, I hadn't just trained my legs for the push-up how to come, which is one of the Alps in the Tour de France. I trained my expressions. I wanted other riders to see the strength of my attitude on the bike because there was something disrupting about watching another rider move past effortlessly while you suffered. Okay? So what do you experience bombing up an Alp during the Tour de France? As a cyclist, what do you experience? Yes.
Exhaustion.
Exhaustion. How does that exhaustion manifest? What do you feel?
I would feel really mentally tired as well. I just want to give up.
Okay, mentally tired, so you want to give up. Physically, how does it go? Legs are burning, right? So quads and hamstrings are just absolutely burning. What else? Wincing in pain.
Or nauseous from the altitude.
Potentially nauseous from the altitude change, right? Probably breathing quite hard, you think, right? Breathing hard, short of breath, probably sweating profusely. Probably not that enjoyable experience. Okay, I went on one of the stationary bikes downstairs last night and did about 14 miles and felt like I was just going to collapse when I got off the bike. I didn't do it particularly quickly, so I can't even imagine how hard it was to do what they do. Okay, covered such a distance in such a relatively short time. So every cyclist has experience in that, right? Because those are physiological products of that task, right? Legs are burning because you're working hard, shortness of breath, etc., etc. What Lance Armstrong's advocating for here is his use of a mental skill. So his mental skill is controlling his body language to make sure that his opponent basically feels bad about himself. So picture this: you're on the Tour de France, you're all spandexed up, you're looking fantastic, getting a little bit of a tan because it's nice during the day. You're bombing up one of these Alps. Okay, legs are burning, shortness of breath. You're working harder than you've ever worked on a bike before. You're trying to just push on and trying to stay with the people in front of you. And Lance Armstrong comes strolling past on his bike. He's got his newspaper laid across the handlebars. He's got a cigar out. He's swilling brandy. Makes it look like the easiest thing he's ever done. What impact does that have on you?
Anything that you read is as good as described.
Okay, so what's the word that we use to describe that? Provides demoralizing, provides doubt. Right? We doubt our abilities. What else?
You're underprepared.
Underprepared, perhaps? You think it's over? It's going to make you feel just generally shit, really, isn't it? To be perfectly honest, you're not going to feel great. Fair assumption? Now, is Lance Armstrong experiencing all those things as well? Yes. But using mental skills, training himself to not let that show, is a tool that he's employed during performance to try and be successful. Any ideas what the sport is? Cricket, it is cricket. Any hands up if you've ever seen cricket? Okay, too small a number. You need to go out and watch cricket. Great sport. 5 days of drinking if you're a spectator. Beautiful, beautiful thing. Yeah. Sachin Tendulkar was a captain, fantastic player. At one point was the #1 batsman in the world. Is retired now. At this level, everyone is talented, but it's the hunger, the will to perform that makes the major difference. Okay, this is an important word, hunger. Right? Hunger, we use to talk about drive, to talk about desire. The desire and the drive is to go above and beyond what you're normally asked to do in order to improve. Now, if mental skills training isn't part of the practice, part of the session that your coaches have put together, then it's something that you need to do in addition, right? If coaches are doing it in sessions, that's fantastic, that's beautiful. If they're not, it's something that you need to go and kind of seek guidance with, right? If you're not doing enough flexibility work in your practice, you'll go and do yoga, something like that. Same kind of idea. So the great players, the great performers have that opportunity to go out there and seek that additional help. Okay, because it's not just something that happens naturally, it's a skill. Mental skills are exactly that. They're a skill. They take time and they take practice. Last one from a coach. Okay, so pretty much reiterating everything we've talked about. So little is required to be successful in sport. It's certainly almost a matter of psychology. And in the end, it's that psychological difference that decides whether you win or lose. Because we know that these margins between winning and losing are small in modern sport. Okay, we've already talked about that. So what I'd like to do is come up with a list of the greatest sports people of all time. So you're going to have a conversation with the people in your row, and you are going to decide who are the greatest sports people of all time. Then we're going to create our class list, which I'll write. Okay? Have a little conversation. Greatest sports people of all time. Whatever. I'll email you the point as well.
First day of class, it was current. I remember the guy's name.
Oh, Chris Gale.
Yeah, what's your name? Yeah.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
He issued a written
Yeah,
apology.
there was actually a piece on the BBC by a female, she's a British, I want to say cyclist, and she's written, the piece is called "I'm Here to Win Medals, Not Look Pretty," and she addresses some of that in there. So maybe worth that.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that's very interesting. Chris Gale?
Yeah.
He's been the captain of the West Indies for the last 5 or 6 years.
I mean, that's
just smashes the ball.
Is he always outspoken?
He is quite outspoken, which is my experience with West Indian people in general. Jamaicans, it seems to be certainly from my experience, it seems to be the norm across the personalities. Very, very outspoken. I've yet to meet an introverted, interesting. So, you know, is it appropriate?
Well, you can't just blame on culture.
No, exactly. No, you can't just say
Especially if he's traveling the world.
he's a smart man. That probably wasn't the best one. There's also a really good one from the I think it was the World Cup, the European Championship in Spain one, and Iker Casillas, the goalkeeper, was interviewed by his missus.
Oh, wow.
And halfway through the interview, he just stopped and grabbed her and kissed her, which was, he just won the World Cup. He was like, do what you need to do, but that's it, you know, that's it. Okay, let's start throwing a list together. So, greatest sports people of all time. If you don't put me on there, you won't hurt my feelings. Go for it.
Wayne Gretzky.
Go Vols.
Yeah. The Broncos.
For my heroes. Bo Jackson, I heard. I didn't hear the other one. Yeah. Incidentally, you might not be aware, Wayne Gretzky, Michael Jordan, and Bo Jackson were in a cartoon. All Stars, something like that. Pro Stars. I think it was called Pro Stars. Look it up on YouTube. It was horrific. Pete Rose, yes.
Sir Alex Ferguson.
Okay. Someone got, can I steal a different pen off someone? I think it's just the down.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Lisa Leslie. You don't have to put your hand up, just shout them out. I'll be one back. If I can spell it. I think that's right.
Looks good.
Tyson.
Big Ruth. You go off the page.
Okay.
Serena Williams.
Jim Brown.
Jim Brown, multi-sport. Just
You say
football. Just football.
Derek Jeter. Phelps. Ken Griffey.
Junior, senior. I always have to answer.
Bobby Orr.
Bobby Orr. Is that a hockey player?
Yeah.
Go on, sport knowledge. Bobby Orr.
Jesse Owens.
I-E or E? Just E, wasn't it? I think. Are we struggling? Go ahead, Joe. Great one. Anyone know who John Alomo is? Oh, Joe. Okay, another person. Rugby player. Who else? Fed? Sorry, say again? Emil Heskey. Man couldn't hit water from a boat, but there we go. Emil Heskey. Say again? LeBron James. Sorry, Emil Heskey is fantastic. That's amazing. That's going on social media later this afternoon. Thank you for that. You've just brightened up my very early morning. Who else? Let's go for 5 more. Can we squeeze 5 more on that list? Tom Brady.
Aaron Rodgers. Oh. One good year.
Let's have 2 more. Serena's up there, Joe. Emmett Smith. Emmett. I know that's how much. I think there might be like 5 more M's in there. Emmett Smith. 1 more. Jerry Rice. Okay, so that's our list of greatest sports people of all time. Of all time. Okay. Anyone we want to get rid of from that list? I'll start us off. Okay, who do we want to get rid of? Cam Newton?
Tom Brady.
Hang on. We happy getting rid of Cam Newton? Yes. Okay, we're happy getting rid of Cam Newton. We're happy getting rid of Tom Brady.
Yes.
Hands up if you would like to keep Tom Brady. Hands up if you would like to get rid of Tom Brady.
Sport cheaters.
I think he's gone. I think the instructor of record has just tipped it over the edge there. Anyone else? Want to get rid of Peyton Manning?
F.
Phil, you've got to play the course you're on, my friend. Hang on. We're working on Peyton Manning. Is Peyton Manning staying? Hands up if Peyton Manning is staying. He's staying, clearly. Anyone else? Anyone else? Aaron Rodgers? Okay. Beckham? Beckham, one of the greatest sports people of all time? He's not. You're quite right. I was surprised when that came up.
LeBron James.
LeBron James?
Because there's Michael Jordan. Right? Yeah, there's Michael Jordan, so.
Is LeBron James one of the greatest sports people of all time? It's your list.
As an athlete, yes.
Is LeBron James staying? Hands up. Yes. Hands up if he's staying. Hands down. Hands up if he's gone. I think he's staying. Just staying. Are we happy?
I agree.
Hands up if you want to get rid of Derek Jeter. Hands down. Hands up if you want to keep Derek Jeter. Oh, I think that's a bit even, isn't it? We'll keep him in there. We'll keep him in there. If you ask Yankee fans, they'll say yes. If you ask Mets fans, probably no. Okay, so that is our list of greatest sports people of all time, or at least our edited list of all time. What stands out to you first of all about that list? They're pretty much all male. What have we got? 1, 2, 3. Where's the 4th? Is there a 4th? Not a 4th. 3 women out of a lot more than 3. Yes. They're not. Alex Ferguson is actually a coach. Unless you're referring to his illustrious career playing for Aberdeen, which I'd be very surprised if you were. Yes.
A lot of Americans.
A lot of Americans, right? Gretzky, was he Canadian? It's America light. We'll consider that to be still. So we'll call it North American. Okay. So all American, still American, Scottish technically, Brazilian, Jamaican, New Zealand, Swiss, Argentinian. That's about it, right? So a very small handful of foreign players. Okay, so we've got less women, frightening number. We've got less non-US. We'll say US, including North America. I'm just too lazy to write that down. What else stands out to you about that list? Anything? It's relatively recent, right? We've got some old school names on there. You know, you've got the classics like Babe Ruth and Jesse Owens on there, right? Kind of some of the old standards, which absolutely deserve to be on there. So we'll say that they are relatively young, I think is a descriptor for that. How about I think that's one of them as well. Where's the other one? Bobby Orr. How about all those people? What do we call the sports they play in this country? Major sports, right? Part of the big 4. Yeah. Of the big 4 sports: football, basketball, baseball, hockey, right? Large percentage of the people on that list are from the core 4, right? Okay, so big 4. So we got very few women. Something to think about when you think about your great sports people, right? Why is there not more women on that list? Perhaps. If you want, can you go and find any women's sporting event you want?
Yeah.
Pretty much. So you're not exposed to it, but you also choose not to be exposed to it. Correct? Okay. Non-US. You're American? Okay. Greatest country in the world? Right. Absolutely. God bless America. Where's the flag? Should we all salute? Right. Maybe potentially a little bit biased. Okay. Same sort of thing. So very American centric, and obviously you're in that country. Your exposure to those athletes is very, very large, right? Because obviously American sports networks will tell you about American sports. Do you also choose to be exposed to those? Absolutely. Over Christmas, I sat down and watched the World Darts Championship, which was on Sky Sports in England, in the US. I sat down, I found it, and I watched it. 1, because it's amazing, and 2, because it's amazing. I made that choice, right? Anyone else watch it? The World Darts Championship.
Saw it
on Snapchat. Right. There we go. There's social media for you right now, right? So darts on Snapchat.
like in a pub. Like.
In a pub, it's in a very big pub, yes. Yeah, I made the choice to go and watch that. Could you have made the same choice? Absolutely, right? So just because we're in America doesn't mean that we have to stay in the US. Okay, Big Four. We've got other sports, right? Other very major sports. So golf, boxing. Soccer. She was in Big Four as well. We've got soccer, obviously biggest sport in the world. Swimming, but how do we know? Do we know which club Michael Phelps swims for?
America.
He swims for America, Club America, right? Right. Sort of trains out of Michigan. Do we know that? No, because when are we interested in Michael Phelps? When he's representing America, when he's going to win medals for us, right? When he is our fastest swimmer, not when he's the fastest swimmer at his club. Could we watch his US swimming events? Yes, absolutely. You can go on. They have their own YouTube channel. You can go and watch those things. Okay. Yes.
I think part of the problem is we also grew up watching ESPN, and they focus on maybe like 4 major sports.
Absolutely.
Playing so together.
They certainly do. They give a cursory look to other ones, and they're starting to give slightly longer cursory looks to different sports as they become popular. Okay, so something to be aware of. I'm not nitpicking, but it's just something to think about with your sport consumption. And I'm sure you'll talk a little bit more about that as you talk about sport and the media as you progress through this class. Okay, so those are our greatest sports people of all time. Let's see if there's another scrap piece of paper. No, can someone rip me off a piece of paper or give me a piece of paper if you don't mind? Thank you kindly. Should open a stationery shop. Okay, so that's our list of great sports people. So what makes those great sports people great? What makes them better than their contemporaries, than the people that are just slightly below them? Goals scored? Stats? A lot of them are champions. Now, are they great because they are champions, or are they champions because they are great? Are they great because they scored goals, or did they score goals because they were great? What are some of the characteristics that separate great, the best sports people of all time from very, very, very good ones? John?
Willpower.
Willpower. Talent. Talent is a very broad word. Think about what you mean by that and we'll come back.
Their understanding of their respective sport.
Okay, so this is a beautiful one. Sport IQ is the words that get used by American press, right? Sport IQ. Yes. See again? Resilience. So a hand at the back. If this is about Heskey, choose your words carefully. Humbleness. We'll call that humility, because I don't know if humbleness is a word.
Respect of other players.
Okay. Respect of others. See again?
Dedication.
Dedication. If you want to be a record breaker, that's what you need. Yes.
Physical ability.
Physical ability, such as?
Stronger, bigger, faster.
Okay, all of the people on that list, what separates them from the good from the great is that they're stronger than the rest. Wayne Gretzky stronger than?
Well, most Americans, most NFL guys will be stronger.
Okay.
The same person who's smaller, always here.
Okay. Jerry Rice, Aaron Rodgers.
You say, well, stronger, faster, bigger.
LeBron. Okay. So, what was the first word they used to describe that?
Physical attributes.
Okay. We'll call that physical talent. Okay. Confident.
Attitude.
Say again.
Attitude.
What kind of attitude?
Right. Any could be like the way they treat their training.
Okay. Is a positive attitude, negative attitude? Okay. Positive attitude. What else?
Iconic moments, and like really make great the World Series or make sure like game and goal.
Okay. Again, that's a bit of a chicken and an egg thing, right? Is that what makes great players great? Because other players have done that. David Tyree, do we know him for anything other than catching the ball? That one time. One of the huge iconic moments in sports, right? Or in American sports, certainly. Should we say? We'll say that. Big play? Yeah. I did see a hand up at the back. I don't know who it was. Determination. Yes. Leadership. What else? Yes.
Mental preparation.
Don't know why I put M. Mental prep. Yes.
Mental toughness.
Goodness me, Greg. Mental toughness. One more.
Work ethic.
Work ethic. Okay. What stands out to you about that list?
Mental prospects and local prospects.
One physical aspect. Everything else on that list is a mental skill. This one is kind of in a bit of a grey area, but work ethic, mental toughness, mental preparation, leadership, determination, positive attitude, confidence, dedication, respect, humility, resilience, sport IQ, interesting one, willpower, mental skills. Good and great. This is your list of great athletes, great sports people of all time, not just athletes. This is what makes them great. What does that suggest? Mental strength, mental skills have a huge part to play in sport performance. How much time do we spend training mental versus physical? Very, very small percentage. Hugely important. That's your list. Remember, so you've come up with that. So mental skills, put it on the right thing. Mental skills training. Golf isn't 1 on 300 or even 500. That should be yard goals. It's my mistype. It's 1 in the 4.5 inches between your ears. The battle is with yourself. Anyone seen the new Creed film? Yeah, it's that kind of cliche where you stand in front of the mirror. That's the toughest opponent you ever win. That's kind of what it sounds like. He says it's hard to tell with Stallone. That's the hardest of the toughest opponent that you're ever going to face, right? The person staring back at you. It's essentially that. We can talk ourselves out of successful sport performance. Okay, self-belief, confidence, positive self-talk, all mental skills. Confidence is the most important single factor in this game, and no matter how great your natural talent, there's only one way to obtain and sustain, and that's this: work. Exactly the same as any other skill. If you're learning to hit any golf shot, if you're learning how to pole vault, if you're learning how to do a sprint start for the 100 meters, if you are learning to the correct tackling technique even, if you're learning how to throw a curveball, it's not just something that you do once and you do. It's not that easy. You're learning to play a musical instrument, you don't pick it up, read the first page of a book, and you can play it. It takes practice, it takes time. It takes an approach where you are committed to that approach because you want to get better. You should have read this. It would hurt my feelings if you didn't. Hands up if you read it. Beautiful. Hands up if you did. You've really hurt my feelings. No. What was it about? Okay. So imagery as a concept, talked about divers, used it, how they pictured themselves going through performance. What was it about? What did we want to know? Yes.
Talk about more of the mental aspect of the sport and how it comes just significant.
Okay, it certainly did. That was one of the kind of the implications of that. What did we want to know?
The imagery practices that we're doing that.
Okay. We talked about that. What did we want to know?
Like how wide the imagery training could influence a player.
Okay, so how could it influence players? What did we want to know? That's kind of why we want to know, but what did we want to know? If it worked, not necessarily. What did do we want to know? We wanted to know how divers use imagery. What we wanted to know. How did they use imagery in sport performance? Simple question. We asked one question. What was the question we asked? Yes.
How do divers use imagery?
No. That was kind of what the question was designed to ask, but we asked literally one question. What was the question that we asked? The wording is in the field. Last year, look at it. Let's hope I can find it. Mind if I underline it? When you think about your experience of using imagery in your sport, what stands out to you? That's the only question we asked them. From that, they provided an answer. And from that answer, we asked follow-up questions based on what they'd said. Right? We didn't go in there with an agenda. We didn't go in there with a script and have a list of questions. We had one question, and everything that that person talked about, we asked follow-up questions on. As an interviewer, that's a really, really hard skill. Something that takes a lot of time. Okay? Why did we ask them just one question? Okay. Absolutely. So we don't want to influence what they're going to say at all, right? So it's actually our bias, not their bias, because we want their bias. We want their information, right? If I ask you, how was your day? What does that let you do? Fantastic. It lets you go anywhere you want to with that question, right? What will you talk about when you answer that question?
Things that are important.
Things that are important, things that stood out to you, things that have value, right? Oh, well, I went to dinner with such and such, or I went to lunch with such and such. It was great. I had this class. This guy came in. He talked about mental skills, and it was crap, right? All of those things that jump out to you about that experience, those are the things that are important, right? So we wanted to know about their experience, so we want them to talk about the things that are important. Okay, so that's the method that we use. What did we find out? How do they use imagery? We don't need particularly in-depth detail. What did they do? Yes?
They see themselves do the dive in their head.
Okay, they see themselves do the dive in their head. How do they see themselves? Fantastic. So as if they were watching themselves either kind of from the judges table, they said, or also if they were watching themselves kind of on TV, right? So third person, which is what we call an external perspective of imagery. Okay, how else did they see themselves? Internally, which is what? The first person, which means
Go over the mutation in their mind by themselves.
yes, how did they actually see that picture? How are you seeing things right now? As if they were actually doing it through their own hands. Right? So not watching myself do anything on the screen, not watching myself from the judges table, but watching myself actually execute the skill from my first person perspective through my own eyes. Good. So internal and external perspective. And they use those for different reasons. Right? External perspective, they used it a lot when they were trying to do error correction or learn a new skill. Internal perspective was when they were trying to practice real-time skill execution. Okay? So what's it like to actually go out and execute that dive? What else did they do? And I've already given you a clue there. I say real-time.
Run to the dive and like slow
Fantastic. They could run through the dive and control the tempo, right? So manipulate the speed. They could either do real time or they could do slow motion. I think a few people, it might not have made the manuscript, but a few people talk about this idea of having like a TV remote where they could rewind and fast forward different parts of their performance. Can't remember if that actually got in there. But that was definitely a factor, right? So if they wanted to focus on a specific part of the skill, maybe an arm position or a leg position, they could go back and view it, see if it was right, and change it. If they were doing their actual performance of the dive, they want to do it in real time because that's how sport performance occurs, right? Unless you're in the matrix or something like that. What else? So perspective, internal, external, speed, fast and slow, we'll call it, or real time and slow. What else? Where did they do it? Where did they image?
Either on the floor, like right on the floor,
Okay. In the hot tub, practice, competition. Some people talk about being with a sports side professional in an office, right? It's an incredibly versatile tool, right? So it had the purpose before the dive was on the board was to run through the dive, make sure I know what I want to do. Am I comfortable, confident to go bang, there's the dive. When I'm in the hot tub or the kind of weird little tool that they have between dives, maybe it's to rehearse the upcoming dive, maybe it's to review the other dive, what was good, what was bad, and to make sure I can correct those errors for the next time going through. So there's different purposes for each one, okay? So why are we interested in that? Well, we're interested in that because the divers that we interviewed were incredibly high level, right? We're talking about college Division I divers, we're talking about Olympians, we're talking about world champions. Where am I here? Or PC. So we were interested in getting their perspective because we wanted to see what they did, right? What do good people do with their imagery? How do they use imagery to be successful? So that's essentially what we did with that paper. The idea of mental skills relates back to this. I think this is a perfect example. Okay? So this is exactly the experience that the divers went through. This is exactly the experience that all of our great sports people go through. And it's exactly the same as anyone trying to develop any skill. It's very, very important for mental skills. So, hands up if you lift. Hands up if you go to the gym and lift weights. Fantastic. We will pick on you, sir. How much do you deadlift?
I don't know yet.
Squat? Bench? Anybody, how much do you lift in any given exercise? You don't have to impress me, you could actually just lie.
215 on that.
215 on bench press. Okay, that's 215 pounds. Day one, you went in the gym, did you lift 215 pounds? No, what did you do? Maybe 100 pounds. Fair assumption, right? Started on 200 pounds, sorry, started on 100 pounds, now I can do 215 pounds. Okay. Did you go straight from 100 pounds to 215 pounds? What did you do?
I had to increment it, increase it every time we went back.
Okay. Every time I went back, I added, we'll say maybe we added 5 pounds per week. Okay. After every week, bang, I'm going to put another 5 pounds on, and I'm going to work from 100 pounds up to 250. Okay. That is what we call a systematic approach to training. Right? I'm being systematic in the way that I'm managing the workload because every time I add weight, the body adapts and I get a little bit stronger. I need to add more weight for progressive overload, which is obviously a coaching, or which is obviously a physiological principle, and I want to move forward. Is it correct? Added. Did you go once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week? Did you just lift 100 and then come back 3 months later and lift 215?
No, it was incremental.
It was incremental. So over a period of time, we'll say maybe 3 times a week. That's consistent. Systematic and consistent. So I don't go and try and learn a mental skill, leave it, and then 3 months later assume that I have that mental skill. It's something that needs to be practiced. Okay? Just like lifting a heavy metal bar. Systematically adding weight as I get stronger and better at the skill, consistently revisiting it to make sure that I train myself and develop that skill as we go through. The big question is, so what? How does this apply to you as sport and rec management students? It's a really good question, really important question to ask. The reason it applies is because mental skills we talk about in the realm of sports psychology. Sport is just a context. Everything that we talk about in mental skills training is performance psychology. Who performs? Everyone performs. I'm performing right now. Right? 8 o'clock in the morning, did I want to get out of bed? Probably not. Do I let you know that? Other than the fact I've just let you know that? No. I come in the class, I try and act like I want to be here, which obviously I do want to be.
Of course.
I try and act like I want to be here. I try and act confident, even though I might be a little bit nervous. You don't know that I'm nervous. Okay? I manage my skills, I manage my communication, I manage my body language. I try and engage you. That's a performance. The guy who drove you on the bus this morning, he's having a performance. The person at Panera who made my coffee and who cut my bagel, that's a performance. Everyone performs. Think about what you're going to do in sport and rec management. You're going to be working in teams. You're going to have to perform under pressure. You're going to have to lead. You're going to have to maintain your arousal, right? Not get too amped up, not get too unamped to make sure that you can actually perform. You've got to be confident in your abilities. Your abilities have to be grounded. So all of these skills exist in a performance environment. And what is a performance environment? Well, all environments are performance environments. Everything we do is a performance. So the mental skills that we learn in sport, sports psychology, mental skills training can be applied elsewhere. Okay, so it's not just exclusive to the sporting world. And I think that's all I've got there. Look at that time as well.